Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to Hope. My name is Tammy Lynn Connors. This is my podcast and YouTube channel, helping other people evolve. Today, I have my beautiful friend Amanda with me.
Hello.
How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Good. I'm great. So, funny story is, Amanda and I've been trying to do this for a while.
Yeah.
And I always say that God always says, nope, you're going to do it on the day that you're supposed to do it. So, we've been friends for, geez, how long now?
Probably about 2.5 years.
More than that.
Really?
It'll be 3.
Oh, you're right.
years
You are
since
right.
Josh passed away.
Oh
so,
gosh. Yeah. So
Yeah.
3.5.
Yeah.
Wow. I missed a year.
Yeah.
But yeah.
I missed a year too. I missed 21 somehow. I'm not really sure how I did that, but I totally missed it. Or 22, I guess I missed. I don't know. But anyway, so here my mission and vision with Hope is just this: to help people that are struggling. There's so many people out in this world that feel like they're at home and they're all alone in their struggles and they can't get out of bed or they can't get off the couch. And what I do is I have people share their stories of unfortunate struggles that they've been through, but they've gotten to a strength and they're able to get up. Now, I'm not saying that we get up and everything's glorious, but we are able to get up and go outside. So hopefully you'll hear maybe Amanda's story, my story, AJ's story, somebody's story, and it'll help you to go ahead and get out of bed that day. So I'm super excited. I know Amanda and I, we've talked about, we might have to do a part 1 and part 2, which is fine because we live life, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So let's go back. Like, who's Amanda? Where did Amanda life start?
Yeah.
When did things happen?
Yeah. So Amanda recently just found Amanda, if that makes sense.
That makes complete sense.
Here I am, 35 years old, and I truly finally believe I get to live how I was supposed to live my purpose, live who I am. All of that led me to today, and to be able to finally say, I feel good in my own skin. I feel I have so much self-love. It's just finally pouring out, which I never, ever had. So yeah, just, I would say it's a lot of experiences that got me there.
Yes. So when you just talk about that, it's funny you say in your 30s and you find yourself, and I find myself in my 50s finally, but you know what?
There's no timeline.
Right.
Yeah.
And the thing is what you said, I'm just reading something that talks about our younger selves. And when did we start believing the lies that people told us?
You just gave me goosebumps.
Because, yeah, me too. Honestly,
Yeah.
because it's so true. When it said in there, when you started talking and walking, and then your mom's telling you how you're going to be, and your dad's telling you how to be, and then how you're going to be. And then you go to school and your teacher's like, well, you're not going to be successful unless you do this and do this. And what makes you think you can be, whatever, a rock star or whatever it is that you want to be.
Yeah.
So now your head is like, oh, I'm not good enough for that. Oh, I'm supposed to act like this. I'm supposed to be like this. And then eventually we don't even know who we are.
No. And that's so true. And you say, walking, talking, you're actually picking those vibrations up when your mother is pregnant with you.
Yeah.
So essentially, and probably before that, because your mother's eggs, where you came from, are a part of your mother, who's a part of your grandmother. So I'm a firm believer that you're picking up energy from long before you even knew you existed. Your mother knew you existed. So yeah, essentially when you're in your mother's womb, anything that she is going through, living through, her traumas are now your traumas. So I will say my mom had a hard relationship with my father. At the age of 6 months, they finally called it quits. My mom remarried to my stepfather when I was 2. So he's essentially the one that was my home life. And then my father just, we had a relationship. It was never the father-daughter relationship that you dream of, but it was our relationship. It was our story. And to be honest, losing him in 2020 is where my spiritual awakening just skyrocketed. It spiraled, to be honest. I want to say skyrocketed now, but I spiraled. I truly, and it took me to get back through that. I went to EMDR therapy. Okay. Which is kind of where that concept came from, was my therapist of, you've gone through these 30, that was 2020. So 32 years of all of that, plus some that you didn't even know. Right.
Yeah. What was that therapy called?
It's called EMRD.
Okay, I have heard of that.
And
I've heard of that.
and I will say, it was the beginning of what changed my life, because you have to reprogram your brain to start looking at experiences as just that. And you also, it did to me was, it gave me the sense of realization that my parents loved me the best that of their ability, right? So if they didn't heal from that inner child wounds that they had, they pass those on to you, because just to your point, you're lazy, you'll never amount to anything. These are words that were actually told to me that I began so much self-hate. What is my purpose? What am I supposed to do? And it had nothing to do with doing it for me. It then become this people-pleasing attitude that I started living through.
Yes.
So it's insane.
It is. And it's so I'm really on this right now about the lies that we believed, you know, and I've talked about that before, because same thing. And then your self-esteem goes so low. And then, like you said, then you're people pleasing all the time. And for me anyways, always trying to fit in.
Always.
Like, no matter wherever I went, I would figure out a way that I'm going to fit in with this group. I'll fit in with this
Always.
group.
You become a chameleon.
I wasn't even who I was.
Well, you know, and that's masking,
Right.
you know, we mask ourselves just to that point. And I started realizing just recently that my actions were to ensure others felt comfortable, not me. Was Amanda comfortable in all these situations? Who was Amanda in those situations? That wasn't her. I mean, it got me to where I am. So I live with absolutely no regrets. But I also, the reason I absolutely love hope and the word itself, because hope to me is like your future, your purpose, right? I don't look backwards and think hope. I look forward when I think hope.
Yeah.
And I take it as a sense of, how do we become our highest vibrational self? You start reprogramming your brain with the lies to the truth, and you just start showing up who you were essentially God created you to be.
Yeah, that's good. That's good. So you're married.
Did
you get married at a young age, or?
This is actually my second marriage, and I have, you know, no problem sharing that with the world, because again, no mistakes in my life. I was married to I have a daughter. So I have an 8.5-year-old daughter. Yes.
Who's absolutely adorable.
She is amazing.
And she's her twin.
Yeah, she is. So it's funny. That's a whole nother side to my story that, you know, has created who I am, because essentially I felt like I was raising myself. And I was like, hold up, like I got to understand myself in order to raise myself and actually do a better job. So that's led me to, you know, here as well. But so I was married back in 2013 to Ansley's father. His name's John. Great guy, amazing guy, nothing negative to say by any means. And I say today, with no harm, just our purpose to be together was to create this child. Okay. And I always dreamt of being a girl mom. I'm going to say one thing, because this has recently come to me. Have you heard of the TikTok trend where it says lucky girl syndrome? Okay. So essentially these girls are saying, you know, I'm now living in this lucky girl syndrome, like what I believe is what I'm creating. Okay. And I love that term. Some call it prayer, right? The Christians prayer, manifestation to the spiritual ones. Like it's essentially the same thing. Lucky girl, prayer, manifestation. So I recently said, whatever I thought at a very young age seemed to happen.
My friend
seemed
Chris
to come
and I
true.
talk about this all the time.
It's insane. So I always said I was going to become a mother, and I was going to become a girl mom. That's it. That was in my identity at a very small age. So back to John and I, we got married, great relationship, great guy, had a daughter. And hold on, I'm just gonna mute this real quick, because that's gonna start.
Yeah, we don't want to do that.
Okay. So we get married, have Ansley a year after our 1-year anniversary. 2 days after our 1-year anniversary, we had my daughter, who was born on my mother's birthday. And I also think that's very telling and special. And I was due September 15th, had her September 23rd.
Mm.
8 days late, who would have known? So anyways, we were raising this daughter, and John and I just were friends.
Mhm.
And I don't say that lightly, because I do think friendship in a relationship, in a, you know, in a marriage is extremely important,
Mhm.
but it seemed to be just
Just
that,
friends.
just friends. And it essentially became, I was living with my roommate. We
Mhm.
were raising this daughter. That was really our only middle ground.
Mhm.
My career really didn't do anything for him. His didn't do anything for mine. Like it was very surface level.
Right.
And it was, again, a purpose in my life then. But after, you know, years and years of that, it just became, there's more. There's a love out there that I know is more. And I just feel like I'm settling. I wasn't 50. I was 30, even if I
Right.
was 50,
Right.
but I knew in my mind, I'm 30. I
Right.
got to get out of, you know.
Right.
So in 2000, and we've tried everything. So I don't want to say, you know,
Right.
it was just a one day decision.
Right.
Therapy. We moved back to my hometown, so we had family, so we could date nights, that sort of thing. And we tried it. It didn't work. So we mutually agreed. We separated, 2018.
Mhm.
And, from there, I quickly got into another relationship.
Mhm.
Where we met,
That's
right?
where we met,
That's
yeah.
where we met,
Yeah.
this relationship. And it started off great, and it did. And then it took my father passing, hard things happening. Oh, I mean, a big part of who I am. I've lived years and years in pain,
Mhm.
doctor's appointments, surgeries,
Yes.
research, and nobody could figure out, you know, what's wrong with Amanda. It was just internal pain. And when I say pain, I'm talking, I didn't know that bodies weren't supposed to be in pain.
Oh.
So in 2019, I was finally diagnosed with endometriosis stage 4, which is a reproductive lining of your endometriola or whatever, you know, comes
Right,
out,
right,
and then
right.
it attaches to your internal organs.
Okay.
Well, to the state of course, my diagnosis, it became stage 4. There are 1, 2, 3, 4, just like cancer. And it was almost like, this all makes sense. This is why I'm living in pain, but now where do we go from here? So I know I feel like I'm jumping all over the place, but we're in a timeline that kind of makes sense to share this piece to it. So had a surgery in July of 2019.
I remember that.
And this OB said, I don't even feel comfortable doing what I essentially just did. I took care of these 2 large masses that were on your right ovary, but your bowel, your uterus, and your right ovary are still infused.
Mm.
They're all together.
Together, like
all together.
Oh.
She said, I could, you know, let's put you on some medication to put you through menopause. So I'm in a relationship, a fairly new relationship.
Right.
I'm going through this. And I was like, no, there's more, you know. So I started advocating for myself. I went to Cleveland Clinic.
Mhm.
And in that appointment, I finally knew I found somebody that lived and breathed endometriosis, and she could explain it to me to the fullest. So,
Okay.
which she did.
Mhm.
And then she also took a very good look at my history, what I've gone through in my recent MRI, and said, you know, I do believe the only way for you to feel good in your body is to have a hysterectomy.
Mhm.
And it was hard,
Hard.
because I wasn't really given a choice, you know,
Mhm.
and I didn't feel done. But what are you going to do? You're in there, you're with the best of the doctors in the world telling you something, and you also wanted to feel good. You saw the hope in it, right? So I was like, I'm so conflicted.
Yeah.
But I had that surgery,
Mhm.
2020, the last elective surgery
Oh.
before the
Before
world
COVID.
shut down. Yeah. My ex lost his best friend.
Mhm.
Things were happening, heavy things. And were we going to, and to the point of you knowing this best friend,
Mhm.
right? So I don't know if you want to share
No,
anything.
no,
but
they all, I talk about Josh all the time.
yes. So Yeah,
Hard.
hard things
Yeah.
as a couple, hard things individually. But those hard things that we go through in the human experience are supposed to test us.
Mhm.
Are we going to go backwards
Mhm.
or are we going to move forward?
That's so powerful. And that's why this is here.
Yes. And I chose to move forward.
Mhm.
And then we hit the end of the year of 2020, this already extremely tough year. And my father unexpectedly passes. He was found in his apartment by himself. And that was hard. The first thing I felt was guilt. And why? Because I kept him at arm's length my entire life. Because we didn't have that relationship.
Right.
Where do I go from there? Right. I'm in a
Mhm.
relationship that is hard,
Mhm.
not working,
Mhm.
but I believed in, I'd be
Right.
lying if I didn't say I
Right.
didn't believe in it. I
Right.
did.
Right.
I lose my father and I knew it was time to get back my life. I'm not going through all of these things lightly.
Right.
Right. So what do I do? So I move forward. I keep going. I start this therapy. I start once again, EMRD program. It is phenomenal. It will reprogram you. It will start to make it it's amazing. I think back to traumas I lived through. And then I had to actually think back through that specific trauma with my therapist. And you have these little vibration things in your hand, right? And in the beginning of the therapy, you create a safe word. And so when you feel like you're getting triggered, essentially, or wherever your anxious feeling comes, mine's always here in my like throat chakra, right? Chest. Wherever when you start feeling that, you just think your safe word. Mine was beach. When I'm at the beach, I feel safe. At that time, I felt safe at the beach. So I would think of the beach. But you go back through these life experiences, these traumas you go through, and you start talking about them with your therapist, and you really start thinking about that in a completely different manner. Like, was it as bad as child you remembers now? And when you first start thinking about it, of course it is, because you allowed yourself to believe it was just as bad as 6-year-old you thought it was, or what have you.
Right.
But did you make it out? Were you safe and you just thought you weren't safe? Because we're all we become in situations where we're like, you get nervous. Am I going to make it through? Am I safe in this situation? Right. Those are those moments that, and so yeah, I kept moving forward through that therapy, the relationship. Let's keep going. 21, rough.
I remember phone calls and conversations.
Rough. I did not feel like my worth, my voice. I felt belittled. I felt like I was losing the me that always wanted to come out, and the me that was so strong in my career. The me that was everyone, oh, you always have a smile on your face. You're always put together. You have it so easy. I was told these things from outsiders. And I thought, if you only knew, because here I am walking through life and trying to be a light for others and trying to pick up others. Like, I love your shirt. I love your hair. I love your shoes. I say those things because I like to connect with people and I want them to feel good about themselves. So when you are that person that walks through life as the strong one, as the one that's always picking up others, that's your identity to others, and they don't know really all that you go through.
I'm going to stop right there real quick for a minute, because I've really been talking about this a lot lately. That right there, you always hear me say, just give somebody a smile, give somebody a compliment. But as we're doing that, like you said, that's just who we are, right? Yeah. But inside, we sometimes are the ones crumbling, and the perfect example to me was Twitch just committing suicide. Yeah. And you saw this man dancing with his wife, and there's his kids, and just all this happiness. because that's what he did for other people.
Yeah.
You know, but he was so broken inside.
Yeah.
You know, it's like Robin Williams.
Yeah.
The Miss America that jumped off the roof in or 53 stories in New York City. When those things happen, it crushes my heart, because I'm like, these people are just out here being the light to the world, but
Yeah.
they're so broken inside.
So broken.
When I say that to somebody, like, just share a smile, just be kind. It's, you don't know, like, Amanda, I could have looked at you one day and just said, your smile is so beautiful. And that day might have been a day that you were having a really bad day.
Yes.
And although we didn't, I don't know if you were like this, but I was always like, if somebody said to me, oh my gosh, your smile is so nice, your hair looks so good, I always made something to turn it around.
Always.
That it wasn't.
Always. I never accepted
No.
compliments.
No.
It's awkward,
Mhm.
but it's also because little Amanda was never told those, you're beautiful. You're amazing. You're going to do great things. I was told you're lazy. You're never going to adapt to
Mhm.
anything. You're worthless. I mean, those are the things I was told.
Yes.
So
yes.
how do you all of a sudden believe that?
Mm.
And I'll tell you, yeah. So again, great points. Great. You know, the strong ones are the ones that sometimes, not sometimes, I'm a firm believer, are the ones that go through the most,
Mhm.
that are essentially supposed to break them. But when you get on the other side, and we're getting there,
Yeah,
we're getting
yeah.
there, it makes sense. You
Yeah.
are chosen to do this. So
Yeah. Yeah.
November,
I want to real quick.
Yeah.
So when Amanda, when you were going through that hard relationship, and I know the person that you're going through the relationship with, and I just want to a little bit with us and the way that we are. I feel like whenever I was in a relationship like that, which I've been in a relationship a really long time, but
Yeah.
even when I would find the ones that I thought,
yeah,
even when it was bad, I would always find that glimmer of hope in them
always.
and know that, oh, I can help
So
them.
there's the key word. There's the key word. I can help them and I can fix them.
Yes.
We fix people.
Yes.
We're empaths. We are feelers. We're light workers. We are healers.
Right.
However you label it, that is us. So yes, I held on to the hope. And I had already gone through a complete transformation of a relationship. I've spent 2 years with this man. My daughter knows this man. My life is centered around this man. Do I want to start over again? Was a thought, and continue to hold on to the hopes. The highs were high, the lows were low. So you always, essentially, your brain is like, and when you're used to flight or fight your whole life, relationships in flight or fight are normal.
Exactly.
We're used to that. We crave it as human beings if you're used to it. But again, there's a part of me, and this part of me is my connection to God. I mean, let's be real. Source, God, the universe. Again, I never discredit other terms.
Exactly, me either.
Right.
Correct.
So I want to be very clear. I felt that relationship with God. And let me tell you the biggest one, my father, he had passed away. And when I say the moment he passed away is the moment, and the therapy and the reprogramming my brain and the letting go of the guilt that I felt for pushing him away, I let it go. And I said, from this day forward, my father's not presently here. I cannot touch his body, but he's here.
Oh, I see you show things that
he's here. He's here. He's flickering lights in my house. He's a cardinal almost anytime I need him. He's the numbers I see that I'm like, ooh, that number must mean something because I'm seeing it all the way, So I almost correlate him to my relationship with God. It's the same concept. He's passed, but his spirit's here. His soul belongs to me. He's part of my soul family. You're part of my, there's people that we meet in human forms that are part of our soul families.
Yes,
you are one.
Yeah.
And I'm learning this. So November of 2021, this is the biggest month. I will say I met a core person to my soul family. And for, anonymous purposes, I would never, want to discuss who this human being is, but let me just say, he came into my life at the time that I felt the most broken, but I also felt like I was close to not being broken. And we just connected
Mhm.
and we had these conversations. And I felt like I've known this man in past lives. There is a reason why he was brought into my life. We're at completely different sides of the United States. Logistically, he's way older. It would never work. We know this.
Right.
But what is this?
Right.
Why is there's this so strong sense of familiarity? Like, how are we going to utilize this? And that's what happened. I met him, we talked, we connected. It was powerful. And all of a sudden, every single trauma, every attachment wound, the anxious attachment, the self-hate of myself, the body dysmorphia, all of those traumas started surfacing. And here I was faced with every single one. And was I going to utilize or take that test and pass, or was I going to fail? I signed up to pass. I said, let's go.
Yeah.
This is rough. And I've told you this, I spent endless numbers of hours crying alone to myself, strategically planning how to get out of this relationship. I was thinking hope. I was thinking the future. I was thinking the highest version of myself. This wasn't it, but we're getting there. And in order to get there, work through these things that the universe is bringing up, right?
Right.
Throwing in your face, work through it. And it was hard. I mean, the things that was thrown at me, blackballed at a yacht club that I had participated with this ex for years, blackballed, right? But what did that do? It allowed them to change the bylaws and say not 3 people should be allowed to vote a good member of society out of this yacht club because they're scared that she's not going to be cordial or doesn't belong here. I belong there.
Right.
I made friends there.
Right.
This is my family here. And I'll be damned if a breakup is going to allow you guys to tell me I can't be a part of this because of the good. Sure, there's bad there.
Sure.
But I knew the good was a part of me and I wanted to make a difference there.
Right.
So yeah, just things like that.
Yeah.
Over and over being tested.
I like when you talked about, because, you know, people, we start going through things and our emotions, and especially with girls, will start really coming out. And then we're like, forget it. I don't want to.
Oh yeah.
Right.
Yes.
Right. But it's so important to go through those things. I mean,
yes.
When I talked about when I decided to move to Arizona after my shit show of 2020, excuse my language, but as we all know, I mean, 2020 was not a good year for 98% of the world. It was definitely a test. But when I decided to pack up and drive to Arizona, I remember I was in my truck and I was driving, and my first 15 hours I drove to Oakland to my friend's house, I was a mess. Like, I couldn't stop crying.
Yep.
No matter what. My son would call me and he'd be like, how you doing, Mom? I'm like, oh, I'm doing good.
Yeah. And I don't know, I know you are actually. So to the listeners, music, I connect to music and it always is a song. I can probably play shuffle. I can change the station. I can do whatever I think in my power that I'm controlling this music. I'm not controlling the music. At that point, I turn to music. I turn to signs. I turn to my dad. I turn to God. I turn to the strong relationships I had, my people. You know, I'm going through this breakup. I'm going through this rebirth of Amanda and who she's meant to be. So I'm gonna lean on my strong ones. I'm gonna lean on the ones that understand what I'm, maybe not what I'm going through, but what I'm gonna get to the other side. So that's what I did.
Yeah.
And here we are. So I know the original question was, are you married? And I just gave you a long answer.
I said you were married.
Oh, okay. So, yes, I was married.
She is married.
I am married now. So
story.
Here we are, 1 year. It's January of 2023. If you would have told me January 2022, Amanda, you will be out of that toxic relationship and you will be married to your soulmate, I would have laughed in your face. I would have said, yeah, there's hope for that. Right. There's great hope for that. And that's what I truly hope it will happen. You're probably wrong, right? That's where I am. went through those months of spiraling. Went through those months of breaking. I went through, but I went through them to wake up. I am awake now. And God, I love God. So going back to the yacht club, I got to meet my soulmate, the most incredible human being that walks this earth. I mean, and I don't say that lightly, because this man is everything that if you would have asked me to put on a piece of paper of what you were looking for a relationship, I can finally say I checked off all of the long laundry list and then some. And I don't say that lightly. This man came into my life at divine timing. How we have never met is insane. Our lives have crossed. We know dozens of the same people. We grew up with dozens of the same people, and yet we had not met till April 30th of 2022. Here we are, January 2023, and I am married to this man. And some may have looked and said, whoa, she moved too fast. It didn't matter to me. There is no such thing as time in a relationship. When you finally meet and it is home, you are now at peace. You are secure. You are home. Your soul is home. You have met your match. You are to grow from here. And let me tell you, it's not always been perfect, because you're still working through trauma.
Sure. And that's the thing. So I have met your husband.
Yes.
This is pre-marriage. And I remember going to your house and I was like, she's right. He's everything.
Yeah.
The way he was with your daughter, and just you and him and all of it. I was like, she is at such a peace right now.
And I appreciate that, because to outsiders that didn't get, and I said, if you haven't met us yet, please judge us.
Yes.
Or don't judge us. But you know what I'm saying?
Right.
Fair to judge, because people do, whatever. I said, let us be in your presence, and I promise you it'll change your mind. I met this man at the yacht club that I was banned at, blackballed at, because I was still invited to an event for the Commodores. This man is good friends with the Commodores. We come to the event. He knew I existed a little bit before that, knew I was special, heard I was recently single. I had no idea he existed. And so we come together, and again, boom, I found him. And you said my daughter, right?
Right.
I was scared shitless.
I'm sure.
Because this daughter of mine went through what I went through. She went through that breakup. She went through the goods. She went through the lows. So not only am I living the roller coaster, I am raising a daughter that this relationship, my relationship, is going to be a huge key factor of who she becomes.
Yes.
Just like I was.
Yes.
So I say, Kurt and I's souls were made to be together. And so was hers and his.
Yeah.
He brings out the child in her. She grew up fast. She's 8.
Right.
But she had to grow up because her mother was struggling and going through shit. She watched me be screamed at, belittled. I mean, she felt everything I was going through. So to be on the other side of that, but also not be there yet and wonder, how am I going to make this introduction? Is this the right thing? I said, you know what, just like I've learned to do, I can't control. I have no control in this. So if it feels right, I'm going to trust. And that's what I did. I trusted. I introduced them 7 days after our meeting. And as I expected, she fell in love that day with him.
It's so awesome.
So yeah.
And I witnessed that too. I saw all of that. And as I left your house that day, I was like, yeah, she really, and all of a sudden I'm like, wait, I saw the engagement, and then I was like, wait, wedding pictures?
Yeah.
How did this happen so quick?
Yes.
Not that and so I wanted to say something real quick too, that you said too, like people on the outside judging, right?
Yeah.
I mean, it's even when we're talking about how kind we are, how strong we are, and all of that, and
Oh.
people are judging. And I just made a post the other day about never expect normal from me, is what I said.
Yeah.
But then I turned it and I said, by the way, what is normal? And why do we expect people to be a certain way? Why is that? You know?
Yeah. So I recently dug into this, and as you heal and as you become you,
right?
And the control, right? I like control. If I can control it, I like it, because I knew it was going to get me to where I thought I wanted it to be. But when you lose that sense of control, you end up exactly where you're meant to be, right? So you're thrown people. We're humans in a tough world, living through tough shit. We're living through shit that is supposed to keep us separated. But at the end of the day, if you really think about it, we were all put on this earth to be loved, to be light. But when you have media and you have politics and you have religions that are separating you, how are we supposed to walk through God's purpose on earth if all of these things are coming at us and separating us? And you having people walk this earth that haven't really done trauma work. Right. So you are faced with people that talk behind your backs. You're faced with people that judge you. We could do a completely other podcast about that hard side that I didn't even get into. Being a strong woman, knowing essentially who you are at the end of the day, and having that relationship with Christ, you are judged all the time. But it's not your problem. And I say that because we are showing them what they're insecure about. So why should I change myself if it's your insecurity? No, I'm going to work through my insecurities and continue to become who I was meant to be. So I'm glad you stopped me on that topic, because I love to do. We're going to do this. So.
It's going to be the weekly Tammy and Amanda show. Seriously, because we both live so much life. But like you said, when you say, like people are in our lives that are like soul connections, like, people might say that and think that, but when you really know it,
you know it,
we've known it since the day we met.
Yes.
I mean, since the day we've met, we've had that.
Yes. And people like to say, my soul family is my blood family. No, it's not. Right. Your blood family are here to do a purpose as well. And I'm not saying no members of your blood family could be your soul family. I won't go down that path. They can. They very much can. My dad is part of my soul family. Clearly, he's the one orchestrating this, even when he's up there. Right. So that's what's even funny. So going back to my husband, I meet this man, and he was due the day of my dad's birthday, but born the day before. His father's middle name is Lester. My father's name is Lester. Again, how we never met is insane. He loves golf. My dad loves golf. And he brings out the inner child, that like the goofy side that my dad always had. So when I say this man was orchestrated to be present from my father's passing. And at that moment, because if I hadn't worked on that relationship with my father, after he passed, letting go of the guilt, just moving forward, we can still have a relationship, even though he's not present here. But what it did was it completely shifted my perspective of what I was worthy of having in a relationship.
So good. Yes.
So he comes into my life again and shows me nothing but good, nothing but great. My family, my daughter. So you said you're married, and it shocked everyone. It wasn't anything we broadcasted. When you're living so happy and such at peace, and things are just lining up the way they should, things just line up the way they should. Why get approval from others? Why? So we didn't. We didn't allow our happiness to be the sole focus or judgment to others, including family. We said, We're getting married on November 4th. We're not having anyone present. I understand if that's tough, but no one present, just me, him, and my daughter, so there's no mothers, fathers, sisters, brothers. No one can be upset. There will be no one. We will share videos and we will share pictures. But this moment, we want to be intimate. We don't want it focused around anyone other than ourselves, because that's what our journey is. And that's what we did. So we shocked everybody, got married, and now that's, been November 4th. So a couple months, which also seems like lifetimes.
Right.
So 20 months, and I'm telling you, it feels like lifetimes because time really does stand still when you're with the person you are meant to be. It's all of a sudden time goes so fast. But when you change that and you are living in such happiness and like peace, it stands still. Like it's only been months. It's crazy.
And you travel with work a little bit. I know we got to get on your flight, but I know, like, I think I saw your post about you traveling and how it's different now. Like,
and I'm
excited to go, but you're not excited to leave.
I am so glad you brought this topic up, because, oh gosh, it just gives me chills. I take my career very seriously, and I'll touch a few minutes on this. I started at a company in January of 2011. I hit my 12 years 2 days ago. I think it was 2 or 3 days ago. So while I was on this work trip, I hit 12 years. But in those 12 years, my life has changed a lot. We're talking single Amanda, married Amanda, divorced Amanda, another relationship Amanda, leaving that relationship, and now happiness. So my work people, those that have been close to me, have seen all of these versions of Amanda. And that's where essentially a lot of, what plays into who I am is my work. When I couldn't focus or control what's happening at home, I could go to work and I could love what I do. And I have this passion for what we do, that it was my escape. And it not that I don't love being a mother and a wife, but work, Amanda's I get to travel. I get to touch customers. I get to change the healthcare industry with the company that I work for. Like, I get to do really exciting things, and it's always changing, which I love change. So it's like we're adapting to technology, and we're changing, and I have this passion for the industry. So it's like, I love it. And I can never see myself giving it up.
Right.
But it's been hard. So, because when your life is falling down, you wonder, am I gonna fall down at work? Am I gonna fail? I'm not a failure at work. And I don't say this to toot my own horn, but I walked into my job the very first week of the job. And when I realized what we were doing was important, I met the vice president of operations, and I started from the bottom, and I met her. And I looked at her, and in my mind, I said, I want to be her someday. I want to be that. She was bold, and she walked with confidence, and she came in and she talked to the lowest reps, and she was amazing. And she was smart. And I said, I want to be that. And I accomplished that in 6.5 years, 6 promotions to get there. But I did that. And so I share that because don't lose hope. If it's okay if other things are falling apart, but if you have something to escape it for a little bit that you can focus on, that you're good at, do it. And you're going to be talked about. It's okay. Just let it go. I had to let that go. So anyways, I've never been in a relationship that traveling for work was always exciting to me. It was never exciting to them.
Right.
Why? Insecurities. Not my insecurities. Once again, their insecurities. So I was having fun traveling for work, meeting with my work people, my customers, but I was almost looked at like, why do you have to do that? Why, because that's what I enjoy. So let's say this was my very first trip, big trip. Actually, no. So second, I met Kurt April 30th. on a Saturday at that event. On May 2nd, I had to go to our national meeting from Monday through Friday. And he proved to me on that trip that I could trust him. And why? Because the one night I remember asking, what are you up to? Where are you at? And he shared his location with me. And I said, you didn't have to do that. He said, I know I didn't have to, but I felt the sense of, if I did it, it would give you a sense of relief. And I don't want you to ever question where I am or what I'm doing behind your back. 2 days after I met this man, and this is what he said. You know, he knew I was the one before we even met. Like, and he said that. I didn't believe him. I believe him. So we've got through that work trip. It was a breeze, but here we are married in a completely different manner. Stronger than ever. The most secure relationship I've ever been. The guy that is always behind his wife going, that's my wife. She's the badass. Right. He puts me on a pedestal. And he knows who he is in a person, his person. He knows his strengths, you know. Mine don't change his. If anything, it's a true partnership. So a part of me meeting that gentleman in November before meeting Kurt, it was actually a group of Southern gentlemen that I was, spending time with at work. And these men, just the way they talk about their wives, and like it was like, oh my gosh, like I want that. Right. I want to be here talking about my husband, or if he's golfing, I want him to talk about his wife. Right. This was before I met him, but I have that. I have that. So I got to go to this trip this week. First trip married. Not only, I never shared with work people that I was married, unless there's a select few that I'm friends with on Facebook because, the trust thing and everything. But other than that, I never changed my name legally at work yet, because professional Amanda is still Amanda Strausser. And it's been a, how do I do this? How do I align this? How do I do it appropriately? So this trip, I get to see these people that have impacted me so much and really gave me a sense of, I want that, or I want, this Southern gentleman, mindset, and how he's going to talk about his wife, regardless of geography, but whatever. Sure. But I found that. So I get to go to this trip, and Kurt's amazing. I got the home. I'm going to clean home. You got this. You go have fun, check in when you can. It's never like he's like, what are you doing? Where are you at? Awesome. So I get to go on this trip. I get to spend time with these people. And all of a sudden the news comes out. You're married? You're not married. What? You're married. You were just going through a bad breakup. I was like, listen, this is why I didn't tell you all, like, this attention I don't really like, but this attention I actually like. Let me tell you about this man. And so I got to, and they're all crying and they're hugging me, and they're like, you're glowing and you're happy and you are amazing. And we knew you'd get out of that, because I talked about that bad relationship with these people. So to get to show up as the happy Amanda, the one with the secure husband at home, showing pictures of our wedding, wearing my wedding ring, like the best week of my life. Like not of my life, but of like my career life. Sure. Yeah. And it was amazing. Awesome. And home was good. Nothing was falling apart. Picked up Ansley, and him and her dad communicated on the transition. I mean, if that's not beautiful, I don't know what is. Yeah. Co-parenting with your ex should not be a struggle. And if it is, please work on it, so. Yeah. All right. Well, this was so good. It was so good. I can't wait to do another one. We're definitely doing the part 2, because it was so good, and just so many like little key things, to help people with solutions, and that's a big thing. I think it was my word for last year was solutions. We go through struggles, but
going through them, we need to find a solution to get out of those struggles.
Oh,
And
absolutely.
I love that fact that you said that you went and got counseling and help. And I
Oh.
say that to people all the time.
Yep.
And especially I'm a big advocate to men's mental health.
Mental health.
There is nothing wrong with you if you go get counseling. I have 3 really good friends of mine that go weekly to counseling that are men. And it is so important. And it doesn't make you crazy. It doesn't make you less than. It makes you actually more than, because you are working on yourself.
Yep.
And it is a very important thing.
And
So,
it's not any less masculine
Yes.
to work on mental health.
right.
If anything, it's even more masculine
Oh,
to
yeah.
me. Let me have a man that knows deep rooted traumas and wounds that didn't push those away.
Right.
That's my man.
Right.
He worked through those.
Mhm.
He's also sober.
Yeah.
You know,
Oh, yeah, that's
you're
right.
sharing
Yeah.
your story. That's him,
Yeah.
because he knew what alcohol was doing to him.
Mhm.
So he worked on those things and he healed, and he took that time to do so he could be the best version of him when we got together.
Yes. Yes.
So
for
I'll
sure.
leave it at that, but
All right. You got to go pick your daughter up from school.
I do.
All
Yes,
right.
this was
It
amazing.
was absolutely amazing. Thank you everybody for getting on Hope. I appreciate all of you joining us. I appreciate the feedback, and I love the fact that I get to interview amazing people like Amanda.
Oh,
You get a hug,
yes,
right?
thank you so
You get a
much.
hug.
Yeah.
So anyways, you guys all have an amazing day. Know that you're not struggling alone. I mean, there's so much out there, but there's so much help out there. Just reach out. You have those people in your life that are really there for you.
Oh yeah. And if ever you feel like you should, if you get that intuition to check in on somebody,
Mhm.
I always say act on it, or, use those connections, those people that may have gave you that compliment, use those things to keep going.
Yes.
Like
Yes.
my shirt, I just
Yes.
realized I read that when I was saying that, like, for real, keep going.
Keep going.
Yeah.
Yep. All right. You guys all have an amazing day. Thank you
Yes.
again for getting on Hope, and we will talk to you soon.